Welcome to this short video, which aims to introduce you to the Foundation Year Supplementary Application Questionnaire. We call this form the FY SAC because its full name is a bit of a mouthful. And this video is a live demonstration of what the form actually looks like and what it would be like if you were filling it in as part of your application to the Cambridge Foundation Year. If you're looking for guidance on how to fill the form in, we have lots of information available on our website to help you do that, and you'll see where you can find that as you encounter the form. You receive the Foundation Year Supplementary Application Questionnaire after we receive your UCAS application. You can see here an email that I have received. This email is pretty much the template that you would get from us, and you would receive this soon after we receive your UCAS application, usually within a couple of days. If you haven't received this email, it's a good thing to get in touch with us and just check where it is. So as you can see, the email is addressed to you by name. In this case, we've just put in a dummy name, and it gives you some information about what you need to do. It outlines that this is an additional form necessary for us to obtain information about your eligibility for the course. And you also get set a deadline on this form here. You can see here it says Friday 13th of January to complete the form. Basically, you get a window of time to complete it. Exactly when that is does depend on when you apply, but there will be a date there. And we strongly recommend that if you haven't prepared for this in advance, that you kind of get on top of it as soon as you can, because quite often people are caught out by needing to provide documentation that they aren't expecting. And you'll also see here that there is a link to a full guide, and there's also a link to our website where you can find out more information. Those documents contain absolutely everything that you could need to complete the form. And then the next thing is a link. The link that you receive in this email is personal to you, so you shouldn't share it with anyone else. And you can actually use that link to kind of come in and out of the form. So if, for example, you get partway through and then you decide that you want to come back later, you can just close your browser down and complete the form using that personalized link. So if you click the link, it should open within your browser. So this is the form as you'll see it. You'll see here it's got the title at the top, and you'll see that it says personal information. This is the first section that you get underway with, and it's really used for us to connect your foundation year form with the application that you make. You'll see throughout that there are some asterisks next to fields. Those are fields that are compulsory for you to complete. So obviously we need your name, we need your UCAS personal ID. So it's important that you fill those in. If you try to continue on the form without completing those fields, which I will just try now, you'll see that it won't allow you to continue and you have to answer the questions as it requests. So for the purposes of this example, I will now complete some of these fields so that we can move on. Now you'll start to see some questions that do require you to think a little bit more. So one of them, for example, is about your residency in the UK, and you can check yes or no. Also, we ask whether you'll be available for interview in the week that the interviews are happening. If you say that you will not be available, you can click that, and then there'll be a follow-up question which asks us to tell you a little bit about why you're not available. And if you are, you can just click I will be available. So throughout, to proceed through the form, you basically use this arrow down here. So you can click here to proceed through the form. The next section is about your college or degree preference. We have a list here of all the colleges that are offering the course. And you can either choose one of them or you can select open no preference at this stage. And that just means that your application would be considered by them towards the end of the process if you're being made an offer. You also have the chance here to express a degree preference. This is not binding. You can change your mind, and it's also not a guarantee that you'd end up on that degree, but it just helps to give us an idea of what you might be interested in. So for example, I could say that I'm interested in English first and foremost, but I might be interested also in, for example, philosophy. So I can make those two choices. If you're not decided, you can click undecided here. And if a subject that you're interested in is not listed here, you can also check that. The next section is eligibility information. This is an important part of the process because it helps us to determine whether you are eligible for the programme. The first question relates to whether you are care experienced. That means whether you have spent time in local authority care. So you can either click yes or no here. If you click yes, because that applies to you, we ask you to provide some more information in a text box and upload evidence. If you have clicked yes mistakenly, you can then click no and then continue. As you'll probably know by now, we divide our criteria into categories. So what you can do here is you can tick basically which of this category you meet. So for example, you could tick homeless, that you've moved schools, and that you have you've been diagnosed with special educational needs. So by ticking these, you'll then see follow-up questions that relate only to these. You won't see follow-up questions related to the things that you haven't checked. If you don't meet anything in this category, you can click I do not meet any criteria in category 1, and that will skip you forward to choosing which criteria you meet in category 2. This is the first of the follow-up questions that you get asked. So, for example, because I checked that I'm eligible because I've been homeless, these are the kinds of follow-up questions that you see. So, for example, how long were you homeless for? What years of education did this cover? And did you receive any support? If you wish to upload evidence, you can, and I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. So I'm just going to fill this in. So you'll see that because I clicked yes, an extra box has arrived that asks whether I want to upload evidence. So because I want to do that, I just need to find a file and upload it. So I'm just going to drag and drop the document from my desktop. It could be a Word document, a PDF, any document really is sufficient. It could also be an image file like a JPG. So I'm just going to drag it and drop it onto this grey area. And I can see that it's gone to 99% and uploaded. We also ask you to tell us a little bit about the kind of documentation it is. We see all kinds of documents from all over the place, and it's really helpful just to get some description of what we're looking at, just because it makes it a bit quicker when we come to look at it. So I'm just going to write here something about that document. Now that I've completed that section, I can click the forward arrow to continue. So this is a follow-up question that is asking me for more information about the schools I attended. And I've picked this one just to show you that the boxes for each question basically differ. But hopefully they should all make sense within the context that you've got. So for this one, it's looking for the names of 3 schools that I attended. You can see that I've just filled these in. These are just fake school names, but it just shows you that basically you need to put in the name, a postcode, and some dates. Again, it asked me to upload some evidence, so I'm just going to drag my test document there just to fill that space in. And then again, it's asking me just to describe it, so I'm just going to put a short description of what this documentation is. And again, once I'm complete, I can click the forward arrow. This is another area where it's asking me to upload evidence, so I can drag and drop it there. And again, I can just describe what it is. So now that's category 1 complete. What I can now do is choose which categories, which criteria I meet in category 2. So for this one, I'm going to, for example, choose I'm currently eligible for free school meals. And as we continue, we'll see that, again, I'm being asked just to upload some evidence and to describe what I have uploaded. Now we move on to category 3. And again, I can see all of the criteria in that category, and I choose which of them I meet. If I don't meet any, again, I have the option to click I do not meet any criteria in category 3. But for example, I'm going to click this one and also that one. So for this one, it's asking me for the school name, postcode, and the unique reference number if I know it. For the purposes of this, I'm going to say I don't know it, so I'll just leave that bit blank. And then it asks me a follow-up question about whether this is an independent school, because there's a different follow-up question required if it is. I'm going to say it's not. Now that I've completed that, I can move forward. It's worth saying, though, that at this point in the form, as you fill things in, you'll see that there's also a back arrow. So, for example, if I've made a mistake or I want to go back and add different information, I can navigate through the form using these arrows. And I can also see roughly where I am in the form using the percentage meter at the bottom. So perhaps I've decided at this point that this actually doesn't apply and therefore I don't want to add this information. What I can do is I can navigate back through the form using the back button and remove this from my selection by clicking on it again, and you'll see it's no longer highlighted. So I can use the forward and back arrows to get through the form as I move onwards. So you'll see now that we've moved on to section 4. That means that we have completed the eligibility criteria section of the form. You'll see that it isn't actually that demanding if you have prepared in advance and have all the information to hand. If you haven't and you're going to have to go away and prepare all of that information, this section of the form could take a very long time. So I really recommend that you check in advance what you meet, what documentation we require, and you make sure that you have that to hand by the time you commence the form. This section asks whether I'm intending on completing an extenuating circumstances form. It's just a yes/no question, just so that we know whether to look out for it. You can find more information about what that form is on the University of Cambridge website, but for the purposes of this, I'm going to say that I don't intend to use it. The next section asks me some questions about my educational history, and basically this is really information just to help add some context to what you've done and give us an idea of what subjects you've covered already. So these are again questions where you just fill them in, and I'm going to put some information in them now. This section also gives you the chance to tell us if there's been any difficulties in the teaching of your subject. So if I want to say yes, I click yes, and I'll see a follow-up question, and if I click no, I will not say a follow-up. Now we're getting towards the end of the form. These are the final questions that you'll see. So these questions are kind of an addition to your personal statement, and they're really intended to tell us a bit more about what exactly interests you in the foundation year at the University of Cambridge. You'll see there are word limits, and you'll also see there's a word counter down here. So as you type, you'll see the number of words go up. You can also tell us a little bit more about additional responsibilities that you have and just anything else that you think it's helpful for us to know. So you can tell us anything you wish in that box. So I'm going to fill all of these in just with some dummy text just for the purposes of moving forward now. But if you check our guide, that'll tell you a little bit more about the kinds of things that you might write here. Now, finally, that I've filled in some of these boxes, I now have to confirm that the information I provided is complete and accurate. So I just click yes on that. I confirm that I accept the terms and conditions for data processing by clicking there. And then I click review your final responses. So this is really sort of getting to the stage where we're very near to submitting the form. So this is a summary. I will say here a really important thing is that you must scroll to the bottom and click submit. Otherwise, your responses won't be recorded, and this will all have been for nothing. So make sure you do that. It's also a chance where you can actually download a PDF of your responses. That might actually be a good thing to do, because if you are, for example, selected for interview, you might like just to go over particularly that last section, section 6. So I recommend you download a PDF if you wish. And you can basically see everything that you've written in the form as we scroll down. So there's my name, my email address, all of the questions that I have answered are included here. And all the documents that I've uploaded are referenced here. And then when I get to the bottom, you'll see there's a button that says submit. I'm content that my form is complete. I'm going to click submit, and that is the end of my foundation year supplementary application questionnaire. So you'll see here that we just have a screen showing you that the form has been submitted. And I hope that you'll find that this has been a helpful video just to let you see what the form looks like before you complete it, maybe take away a bit of the scariness of doing something you've not done before. And I hope you'll also see that the form is not that difficult if you have prepared. So I'd really recommend that you spend a little bit of time preparing to complete this. It is a really important part of our application process, because otherwise we have no idea whether you're eligible or not. And it's helpful to have the extra context it provides. So we really do appreciate you taking the time to prepare and taking the time to fill it in for us. Thanks for watching the video, and good luck for your application.